coming up on News 2, WAPA continues to review the cause of the circuit failure that caused the island-wide power outage on St. Croix. Meanwhile, as a result, many concerns about the reported failure of the emergency generator at the Juan Luis Hospital. Also, Schneider Regional Medical Center officials shared the outcome of the survey conducted by CMS after a visit to the hospital last week. Plus, for those who can't make it out, Carnival was presented to them at the Schneider Regional Medical Center. Patients, staff, and many supporters got a taste of what's to come. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast, the Senate Majority Caucus released a statement late Monday calling for the VI to learn from its mistakes after Saturday's blackout on St. Croix. Senators said the government needs to assess its readiness. And while they commended the hospital staff for keeping the patients safe when its only generator failed, they said that shouldn't happen again. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
Lawmakers are concerned about the territory's readiness in the face of a crisis or emergency. Saturday's blackout left St. Croix without power for more than 14 hours when WAPA had a surge that tripped its units offline. Majority senators issued a statement late Monday. They're urging the government to assess its readiness, particularly for the hospital that was without power for several hours when its backup generator failed.
The issue that existed did not have to do with the generator itself, but mainly to the fuel line.
Juan Luis Hospital has 2 generators. One of them is offline since it failed a few months ago. Officials are waiting on a part to be made and shipped May 31st, so only one generator was in service Saturday.
We are waiting our heat exchanger. That heat exchanger had to literally be manufactured because of the age of the generator.
Senator Samuel Sanis is calling for a territory-wide plan to be implemented that would avoid another crisis like this one. Senator Novell Francis said Saturday's outage highlights the need for better contingency planning throughout the government. Senate President Neville James said generating revenues would help the government pay WAPA and decrease or eliminate equipment failures at the power plants. When the hospital's sole generator went down, they relied on battery backups and manpower to keep the patients safe. CEO Dr. Kendall Griffith said they plan to replace the hospital's aging generator.
We are in communication with a interim director Barnes at Vitima right now, looking at ways that we can find generators, 500 kW generators through FEMA. So that is in the works as we speak right now.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
The hospital's generators were built in 1982. Senator Kurt Ville visited Juan F. Luis during the blackout and commended the nurses for their commitment to keeping patients safe. He also praised WAPA for their efforts in restoring power to St. Croix. Meanwhile, on St. Thomas, the Schneider Regional Medical Center made a major announcement on Tuesday. The hospital had just undergone an intensive week-long survey by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Schneider's CEO, Dr. Bernard Wheatley, and other hospital officials stated that in spite of the surprise survey, the hospital passed with flying colors.
From my experience, the most intense survey I've ever gone through. They're pretty much independent colleagues. They went through this hospital. They wanted no escorts. They wanted no files given to them. They went through the files themselves. They looked through every record.
Extensive surveys we have successfully passed have demonstrated that our accrediting bodies now trust our institution. There is one body left to establish trust with. A body that is, in my opinion, the largest and most important body to accredit us, and that's our own community.
In other news, the Virgin Islands Department of Education's Office of the Insular Superintendents of St. Croix, of the school district in St. Croix, announced that due to an unforeseen occurrence on Tuesday, April 21st, its alternative education program in St. Croix was closed. Buses and parents arrived to pick up students during the early dismissal. Classes, they say, will resume as normal on Wednesday, April 22nd at the program's facility located in Estate La Grande Princess. Count on 2 to keep you updated. The U.S. Coast Guard recently held an open house for the marine community to discuss the 6-passenger alternative compliance regulations. Coast Guard officials partnered with officials from the BVI to answer mariners' questions about changes to the law. Governor Kenneth Mapp applauded their efforts, saying, "It's refreshing to see our federal partners step forward to empower and educate our local mariners by utilizing the long-standing cooperation which exists between the BVI and USVI. The law now permits alternative compliance inspection for vessels carrying up to 12 passengers in the USVI. A published report from the University of the Virgin Islands says people need to be careful when it comes to eating lionfish. The invasive species have rapidly grown in the territory's waters, and recently the lionfish has been promoted in cookbooks and magazines as a good seafood source. Experts say eating lionfish could be a health hazard since ciguatera fish poisoning is possible. Researchers tested nearly 200 lionfish in the territory and found unsafe levels in them. Senator Marvin Blyden said he met with officials last Wednesday to respond to complaints he received regarding the noise and dust in the Smith Bay area. Smith Bay residents are experiencing, they say, due to the ongoing construction at the Margaritaville site. Brian Dixon, who is the Director of Resort Operations for the Caribbean region, John Boyd, Chief Engineer of Margaritaville Club Resort, and officials representing the VI Waste Management Authority were in attendance. They vied to address the issues plaguing the area. Dixon was asked to assist the government by donating a piece of the property in order for the garbage bins to be placed, and a convenience center will ultimately be built. Friday evening at roughly 8:26 p.m., looking at our crime reports, a female resident of Old Friedensburg reported a robbery to the VIPD. Reports indicate that she was in the vicinity of Friedensburg when a male individual, unknown to her, approached her, told her that he had a gun and demanded money. The victim complied and handed over $500 in cash, and the suspect left the area on foot. The suspect is described as tall and wearing all black. Juan Carlos Seguno Martinez, 34, of Puerto Rico, pleaded guilty last Friday in district court on St. Croix to 1 count of possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. As part of his plea, Seguno Martinez admitted that in December 2014, while he was in St. Croix, he purchased at least 500 grams of cocaine and mailed it to Buffalo, New York. United States Customs and Border Protection agents intercepted the package. Seguno Martinez lives in Puerto Rico and is facing a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison and a $1 million fine. Turn our attention overseas, an update on Loretta Lynch's nomination to the Office of Attorney General. If confirmed, Lynch would be the first African-American woman to hold that position. Senate Republicans say a confirmation vote on Lynch could happen in the coming days, following the passage of human trafficking legislation. But Senate Democrats blame Republicans for holding up a vote on Lynch for so long. Democrats say Republicans attempted to use Lynch as a bargaining chip to pass their version of the trafficking bill and called on Republicans to confirm Lynch as Attorney General this week. The Senate Majority Leader maintained that he planned to hold a vote on Lynch's nomination following the completion of the human trafficking bill. Keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. As you can see, the Dow is down, NASDAQ up, S&P down. The Dow 85, NASDAQ up 19, S&P down 3. Coming up on NEWS2, for those who can't make it out to the event, Carnival was presented at the Schneider Regional Medical Center. Patients, staff, and many supporters got a small taste of what's to come. That's in our Carnival Corner. Carnival activities continue to get underway. The latest major event was the Carnival Queen pageant this past weekend. On Monday night, the newly minted Carnival Queen 2015 joined members of the community for an early carnival presentation, not in the village or on the streets, but at the Schneider Hospital. News2's April Knight has that story.
Sandy, patients here at Schneider Hospital would not have been able to come to Carnival, but the Carnival Committee and the hospital made sure that the Carnival came to them. And on Monday night, that's exactly what happened. The Schneider Hospital campus was transformed into a mini village Monday night. The newly crowned queen was there, and the princess.
I am really looking forward to everyone being safe and having a good time.
But the real stars of the show were the Schneider patients, and they got front row seats to the performances. And what performances they were! Milos Kings provided top-notch live music. And then from twirling majorettes to high school bands to baby bamboola dancers to even a dancing grandma, Carnival performers shared their talents a little early.
The prelude of the upcoming Carnival, and this effort is indeed to put on this show each year is a tremendous service for us in our community and for those who may not have the opportunity to really enjoy the full experience of Carnival.
It's the 22nd Carnival at Schneider, and it won't be the last, as the community makes sure that everyone, even the sick and unable, gets to share in the Carnival revelry. Reporting for News2, I'm April Knight.
Again, congrats to Carnival Queen winner Dorisa Greaves and her court. First runner-up Sequoia George, second runner-up Candice Leonard. The royalty again made their appearance at the Hospital Carnival. Now the 21st Junior Calypsonians competition is on. The young Calypsonians hit the stage to compete tonight at the Lionel Roberts Stadium at 8 p.m. There are 3 categories: primary, intermediate, and secondary. Many schools well represented there. Now, Wednesday night is slated as cultural night. Lots of cultural wear, costumes, and dances. The VI Calypso competition begins at 8 p.m. on the 23rd, and then on Friday the 24th, the opening of the Carnival Village with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Now, the village honoree is Cleve Grappo Turnbull, and the village is named in his honor, Grappo's Art Gallery. It's Autism Awareness Month, and the Office of the Governor and the Virgin Islands Americans with Disabilities Act coordinator join in that recognition through a partnership with WTJX Channel 12 as they present a series of documentaries on autism. Also, an Autism Awareness Conference kicked off on Monday, April 20th on St. Croix, and the next will be held on Wednesday, April 22nd on St. Thomas. It's presented by VI USAID and Island Therapy Solutions. Keynote speaker is Sean Barron, who was diagnosed with classic autism in January 1967 at the age of 5. After having exhibited nearly all of the 14 most common symptoms, doctors recommended that he be institutionalized, but now considers himself recovered. Be sure to hear his story. Senator at Large Armando Rocky Liebert, heading over to Love City, announced Monday that the long-standing dilemma of transporting the deceased on St. John has at last been resolved. Senator Liebert thanked the Office of the VI Attorney General and Governor Kenneth Mapp for working with him to ensure that the liability issues faced by St. John Rescue, which provides the service at no charge to families or the government, were addressed. He said the organization had ceased transporting bodies last fall on advice of its attorneys. Since that time, families had been faced with bringing their loved ones to the morgue in a private vehicle. The AG's office put together a new memorandum of understanding that addressed the liability issues. 2 local guardsmen are competing in grueling tests this week as a sort of the best competition. They're joined by dozens of soldiers from 8 states and neighboring Puerto Rico to compete for the title of Best Warrior. The regional competition includes 10 areas of skill to determine who'll walk away with the title. Since Sunday, the soldiers have been competing in areas like map reading, weapons, essay writing, land navigation, and half a dozen more areas. The VI National Guard is hosting the competition, and they're doing that this year. The power may have been out on St. Croix last Saturday, but the electricity was in the air for the second annual tattoo contest, Born to be Wild, sponsored by the Croix. 12 contestants sported various body art on their arms, legs, backs, and chests. There were many categories, including Most Original, Best Color, Best Leg or Arm, and Best Caribbean Theme. According to tattoo artist Jenny Thomas, creating the art for the winner, West Toronto, takes time and inspiration.
It took a whole entire year to do both of his sleeves. We started with his shoulders, and just every week he would come for 3 to 4 hours, and some new inspiration would come up, and we just worked it out for a whole year.
Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.